What are you saying, ladies and gents? It is your boy Bucket Sam and we're back in today for another video. Today's video I'm doing my Game Week 22 Premier League predictions. I told you these would be back and look, I deliver. I always say that. But before we do get into this, please do smash the like button and do subscribe and comment down below your predictions. I do check all of them. There are so many good fixtures this week and the Premier League is really hotting up now. We're coming into the second half of the league. January transfer window is done. It was great, wasn't it? And there's so much to talk about. We're going to start off with the first game of the game week, Chelsea versus Fulham. And who would have ever thought this would be a top half of the table clash? Not only that, Fulham currently sat in 7th. It absolutely blows my mind. Chelsea currently sat in 10th. They spent an absolute fortune, and I mean a fortune in January transfer window. I'm talking the likes of Enzo Fernandez. So many players that they've bought. It's ridiculous. The list goes on. We could do a whole video just on Chelsea. And the thing is, as much as in the first time these two played back at Craven Cottage, Fulham got the win. And I understand going into this form-wise, Fulham have got 2 losses on the bounce, but they're still currently sat in 7th, and Chelsea unbeaten in the last 2 games. I think there's something going to go on with Chelsea now. You look at the squad, they've invested so much, bought so many players, and now for the first time this season under Graham Potter, there's a sense of competitiveness within the squad. Players are going to have to actually fight for their position, because before we kind of could have guessed really the starting 11. I think that's going to add such a different dynamic to this squad, so I do think Chelsea's going to win this one. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Chelsea home win. Yes, you heard me, a big win. Next we've got Everton versus Arsenal. Sean Dyche at the helm, second bottom in the league, 3 losses on the bounce without a win in the last 5, up against Arsenal side, unbeaten in the last 5 with 4 of those being wins, and they're coming off the back of a huge result against Manchester United, Arsenal. And I understand Sean Dyche, and you know exactly what you're going to get. It's going to be 2 banks of 4 and 2 up top. I think it's going to be really interesting how they kind of play out in their first game, but I think they can go in with this game as kind of a free hit. I don't think that anyone expects any kind of result. Hopefully Goodison Park will be rocking and they'll be getting behind the manager and the boys, but personally I do think Arsenal are going to win this one. I think everyone would say that, and I think Everton can turn around their form in the future. I think this is too early to call for Sean Dyche. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 Arsenal away win. And I think the biggest thing with this, Everton got to keep the goals down. Next we've got Brighton versus Bournemouth. Brighton in 6th place. It baffles me that Brighton and Fulham, 6th and 7th. Every time I think about it, the more it just blows my mind. They're unbeaten in the last 3 games. With a great result in the Cup against Liverpool. And they come against a Bournemouth side who are currently in the bottom 3. Again, they're back down there, 17 points with 4 losses in their last 5 games. Gary O'Neill's men just look dreadful, don't they? They can't score, they're conceding too many goals, they're just leaking goals for fun at the moment, and I personally think Brighton are going to destroy them here. I think it's going to be an absolute massacre, so I'm going for a 3-0 Brighton home win. Next we've got Man United versus Crystal Palace. We spoke about Man United earlier on in the video against Arsenal, an unlucky result, but you can see improvements, and with the additional signing of Sabitzer to add into the squad, I think it's looking good for Man United. They're going to try and get to 3rd place. They're currently joint points with Newcastle with 3 wins in their last 5 games. Unlucky to lose out against Arsenal, and they come against Palace side that realistically haven't been great in recent form, without a win in the last 4 games with 2 draws and 2 losses. But I think it's going to be an interesting one. You've got the players like with the likes of Wan-Bissaka and Zaha, who really step up in these kind of games. And this return fixture with was a draw, and it was a great game of football. So I think this is going to be a good game. But I do think Man United are going to do this, especially at home. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 Man United home win. Next, got Brentford versus Southampton. Brentford absolutely flying. Unbeaten in the last 5 games. Clean sheets galore. If you're a fancy football fan, get defenders in from Brentford, because they just don't concede whatsoever. And they're coming against Southampton side, which are rock bottom of the league with 1 win in the last 5 games. Not been great under Nathan Jones, but it's been better than it was under Hasenhüttl, which says a lot, doesn't it? The fact that they're still rock bottom. With a win, though, could take them 16th in the league, which just shows you how tight it is at the bottom. But I don't think they're going to get a result here against a Brentford side that are free-flowing, free-scoring. Thomas Frank's men are doing absolutely brilliant, ahead of Liverpool and Chelsea in the league. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 Brentford home win. And one thing, by the way, Southampton have invested heavily into this squad, so I do think their form is going to change, but I think it's too early to call yet. Next, got Wolves versus Liverpool. Now, this is a really interesting game. Wolves, under Lopetegui, hasn't been great with 2 wins in the last 5 games, but again, it's been an improvement on the earlier regime in the season. They're coming against the Liverpool side that, again, have not been great without a win in 3 as well themselves, with 2 losses in that time. The only draw coming up against Chelsea, and that was an absolute stinker of a game, let's be honest. So I think it's going to be an interesting one, especially with all the things that went on in the Cup, with the VAR controversy. Wolves always play well against Liverpool. It's like they've got a point to prove. They play a lot of each other. If you look back, this fixture has been played so many times in the Cup. It's ridiculous. And I do think this game is going to be quite close, but I'm going to go for a draw here. I'm going to go for 1-1. And it's mad to think that Liverpool are 9th in the league. They're only 5 points ahead of Crystal Palace and the likes of that. And I read something about VAR controversy. Without VAR, Liverpool would be 6 points off the drop zone if with goals being disallowed and things. I know it's a ridiculous thing to say, but it just shows you the kind of position that they're in this season. Next, we've got Aston Villa versus Leicester City. Aston Villa, unbeaten in the last 4 games, have been absolutely unreal under Unai Emery. And we all predicted that it would happen, but not to this extent, not so fast, but they're looking really good. They've not really invested in the squad and they've lost a couple of players in Danny Ings, but I still think they're going to do all right. And I expect a good result here. They're coming against the Leicester side that have not won in their last 5 games with 4 losses in that time. It's simply just not good enough. It's really not good enough. And we keep speaking about this Leicester side, about how good it is. There's a lot of players going on frees, injuries. I do worry for them because they're in the middle of a relegation battle. They're only 1 point off Bournemouth, and it just shows you how poor a season Brendan Rodgers is having. And I never understand why no one ever talks about him potentially his job being on the line. I don't get it personally, but I do think Aston Villa are going to win this game. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Aston Villa home win. Yes, you heard it right here. Next, we've got Newcastle versus West Ham. Newcastle free-flowing, unbeaten in the last 5. They're drawing a lot of games, but they're not conceding many goals. Nick Pope, it's impossible for him to concede. It's ridiculous. They've actually got more clean sheets now than goals conceded, which is just an amazing stat, really. It just shows you the levels that Eddie Howe's men are at. And they're playing against West Ham, who are 16th in the league, with a vital win in that last game against Everton. And not only that, before that, the form wasn't great. They've got 3 losses in their last 4 before that, but a huge result against Everton. I think it's going to be an interesting game. Obviously, West Ham have invested. They've got Danny Ings, but I know he's injured. I can't imagine them getting a good result here against Newcastle. And Newcastle at home, the atmosphere is absolutely rocking at St James's Park, and I'm going to go for a 1-0 win. Yes, another Newcastle 1-0 win. Next, we've got Nottingham Forest versus Leeds. Nottingham Forest have pulled themselves away from the relegation battle just briefly. They're on 21 points. It gives them 4 points lead on the drop zone. They're unbeaten in the last 4 games with 2 wins and 2 draws. They're looking really good, and they come against the Leeds side without a win in their last 5, but they have got 3 draws in that time. And Leeds, again, have invested again into this squad. Some huge signings, players like Weston McKennie, that I really think are going to help Leeds this season. So it's an interesting game, this. 2 sides that really aren't, as much as they are in a relegation zone, I think a relegation battle, I think they both like to pull themselves away from it, and they're 2 sides that I think can do it with the players that they've got in their squad. And another thing as well, Nottingham Forest signing Keylor Navas, that's going to be huge for this. I still can't, it baffles me, it blows my mind, that game, that still is going ahead. Like how he's now a Forest player, it makes no sense. This guy's a serial winner. It's crazy. A great sign. It just shows you their ambition as a club. And I'm going to go for a draw here. I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm going to go for 2-2. Yeah, lots of goals. Next, we've probably got the biggest game of the game week, Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester City, and Tottenham have been absolutely dreadful. Signed a couple of players in Dan Juma and Porro that I think will both be good additions to the squad, but personally, I still think they're missing and lacking something, and whereas Man City are chasing Arsenal. With that win in the Cup, I know it's the Cup against Arsenal, but I think that's huge for mentality-wise, so I do think this is going to help them push on. I think Man City are about to go on a massive run, and they're going to really put the pressure back on Arsenal, so I'm going to go for a 3-0 Man City win. Yes, get Haaland in your team. And it's a double game week for Manchester United, so we'll just whack that game in there as well. Man United versus Leeds, you know it's always going to be a great game when these 2 sides come together, and Man United always do well against Leeds. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 Man United win. Yes, those are all my predictions. Thank you for watching. Please do smash the like button and do subscribe for lots more content. As you've seen, there's so much coming your way. If you want to check out all my socials, TikToks, Instagram, Twitter, absolutely everything, they'll all be down in the description below. But as I said already, thank you for watching. Please smash the like button and subscribe. But okay, Sam over and out. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.